I'm Sarah Vangeli. I'm a musician and promoter, and I've been involved in loads of stuff over the years. And I was in bands and I was coming out, and I realised there was no sort of great, interesting, arty, musicy spaces for women to go to, let alone queer women. And that sort of set me on this mission to create something that I wanted to go to. It just lit a little spark in me that I had to do something.
First ever lesbian and gay event I went to was Y Disco at the Riverside.
It was Babs at the Riverside, who I was friends with, just said, hey, there's a total gap for, you queers, what are you going to do? I can give you a Thursday or Tuesday night. It was really like, it must have been a Tuesday.
Always a Tuesday night.
That was the queer night. They tried to make it a Monday, but that was really a no-goer.
Yeah, we have got some pride.
Literally.
Before pride existed, we are not going clubbing on Mondays.
We formed a collective, we were calling it Big Pink Noise, and I think it just became known as Rock and Doris. I think we were just literally doing it. We didn't know what it meant. We knew it was community-based. We knew we were being positive towards women in that space. That's something we wanted to do. And I think as it got more and more popular, because suddenly there was like hundreds of people going, we realised that it was kind of maybe a seed for many other things. And just the fact people could go and have a great time and get to meet each other. And we did a lot of benefit gigs and raising awareness for various things.
There was a lot going on, wasn't there? So, as before, we as LGBT people had any right, our rights were actually, we had very few, and we were being discriminated against and attacked. So there was quite a lot of very quick turnaround activism, wasn't there?
I mean, you almost can't believe it now, but when you look back at it, that really was the era we were living in,
Newcastle had this very particular group of people like Sarah Jelly and Emma Dilemma and Julie and Simon that was around setting up social events, and there were many iterations of things like Rock and Doris and all those different venues that things happened at that I think was very specific characteristic of the Tyneside lesbian scene that I think was an absolute crucial, like a hub point for so many bits of political activity and so much of our social lives that really worked at being inclusive and welcoming and a really friendly environment that really set a culture in Newcastle that had an impact somehow on how we were politically as well.
I've got the first minutes, not of the Pride meeting, but the Rock and Doris saying, we're going to do this, who shall we ask? And that was 95, that was February, that meeting. So we pulled that off in June, July. That was amazing.
I think having that kind of thing of let's have a Pride. I mean, when Pride started, it was National Pride in London. There was a big Pride, but there wasn't City Pride at that time. And so when Pride on Tyne started, I remember all the discussions around whether there should be a march.
Which people were really frightened about walking down Northumberland Street. The idea of doing that was quite difficult for a lot of people.
I remember talking about it in meetings, and we just felt there wasn't going to be enough safety in numbers.
And of course, people take it for granted now that the police are supportive to the LGBTQ community, but then we weren't sure that they were going to be on our side and marching through the town. It just seemed like, oh my gosh, I don't think we can do that. It was that sort of fear, wasn't it? Really?
Yes.
Well, the football was the first satellite event, and that was on the Sunday after Pride, so everyone was really hungover. And then out of the Pride event, there were lots of Spurs, which was the women's football Pride art, which I worked with you on, Alice. We did it, didn't we? Proud words, and it was a month-long thing, which I just felt so proud of. I thought it was fantastic, that whole month. Every Pride at Northumbria Uni, I just remember feeling so proud. It was so amazing, that event.
I just remember us all being in a big circle with our arms around each other at the end of the first one, and just literally that pride feeling that we pulled it off.
Yeah, it was absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We pulled it off and we were like, yes, we did it, you know.